Welcome, it's Gail here. In this video, I'd like to show you how to create trees using the masking tool and the line tools in Google Drawing. We will also use search images. So I'm already in Google Drive and I have a folder named Trees. If you haven't created one, what you'd like to do is go to New and then go to Folder, and then you can name it, and then you can also change the color. If you don't know how to do that, please watch lesson 1 first. To get to Google Drawings, we're also coming over to this area and we're going down to More and we're going over to Google Drawings. And the first thing we want to do is save it in a folder so it's easy to find later. So I'm clicking on Untitled Drawing and I'm going to name this one Fall Trees. And then I'll go to File and move it to, I just clicked on Move, and I'm going to move it to my tree folder right here. And now it's letting me know that it's been moved there. And we're ready to get started. To change the color of the background, press 2 fingers down on a mouse pad or a launch pad or a mouse and click background. And then I'm going up here to gradient and I'm going to choose the black one that is a linear gradient right here. And now we're ready to get started. So we're going to use search images to find some pictures of watercolor paintings. So to do so, you can go here to where it says insert image. It's this little square with the little triangles in it. And if you don't see that right away, you can also go up to insert and go down to image right here and then go to search the web. And I'm going to type in watercolor. And this one, I'm going to type in purple. This way we can get a couple different varieties of colors and things. And I'm going to choose this one right here. I just clicked on it. I'm going to click insert. And I'm going to grab the corner here and just make this smaller. Also, I think what I'll do is double click in the middle of this. So that way I get this, that didn't quite work out yet. For some reason, this is not working out like it normally does. There we go. It's working now. So we get this little cropping tool on the edges there. And I'm just going to bring this in so I just see the color. And that's pretty good. I'll keep it like that. And I'll move that one over here. And we're going to choose 3 more watercolor paintings. So I'm going back to Google. I'm going back to search, image search. So I'm going to insert, going to image, and then going down to search the web. Over here, I'll change that last word into red. And look for one that kind of matches, but might have a little bit of a different variety there. If not, if we can't find exactly what we're looking for, I'm going to show you something else in a moment. And that will help too. I'm actually going to take this one right here. And I'm going to do the same thing like I did with this one. I'm double clicking on the inside and then I get the cropping tool and I'm just going to take a little bit of that white off the top. Maybe I want to keep a little bit there. And I'm going to make this a little shorter over here because I'm going to use that again in a little bit. So I'm going to move that one up there. Going back to insert and going to image, going to search the web again. This time we will change it to green or the color of your choice. And looking for something that kind of matches these over here. Well, that one does. I might want to have a little bit more variety. And I think I'm going to choose this one right here and click insert. Again, I'm double clicking in the center. I'm going to bring in the cropping tool a little bit. If I accidentally grab this and bring it in order to get out of that, all you have to do is come up here to the undo button. If I click undo, it will take it back there. And then I just want to make sure I grab a hold of the black cropping tool right there. So that one's ready to go. And one more. Let's go back to insert, search the web, and this time I'm going to type in blue. And I like the look of this one right here, so I'm going to click on that. And Now I'm just going to bring this in on the edges. Oops, I'm going to undo since I didn't get the right one there. I got the image instead of the cropping tool, and I think I did it again. Let's see if I can grab it inside here a little bit. And the other cool thing is, even though I grab from here and I make this smaller, I was going to show that, but I want to show it in a minute. I'm going back to the cropping tool here. I'm going to make that smaller. I can move this image around behind to make it fit the way I like it. And that looks pretty good. And then I can just click outside, and now I have that one selected. So the next thing is we are going to take these pictures and we're going to recolor them so that it matches the picture over on the left a little bit more. So to do so, I have to have one picture selected, which I do, but I'm going to start with my purple one right here. I'm going to format options. If you don't see this, you might have 3 vertical dots over here on the side or 3 horizontal. Click on those to find this. And also just to let you know that you have to have an image selected in order to find that. So I'm going to select one, and it's highlighted in blue here. I go to format options, and now I go to recolor. And this one is going to be purple, so I can come down here and choose the purple of my choice. And then I'm coming over to the red one. I'm seeing if I want to change the color of this one, and I think I do. I'm going to change it to this one right here. And then I'm going to the green one and doing the same. And I'm coming over to the blue one. And although I do like the colors there, I do want to alter it. I don't want to take away from the person that created this. So I'm going to change it to blue as well, because we're not using the whole colors there. And you could always create your own pictures and use those as well. And that would be really awesome too. So now I'm going to start with the purple one over here. And I'm just going to move the red. I'm just going to kind of move them in the place I want them to be. I'm just going to stack them over here. And if you can see when I move one over, it depends which one I brought up first. It's like stacking papers on top of one another. So I will show you, so we can just kind of move them over to the side if you lose one. For instance, if this one is behind, I'm going to just show you this. You can go to arrange and order right here. This is where you can locate your papers. I'm going to send it to the back. And if I send it to the back, you don't see that one. But if I bring it out here, I can click on this one, go to arrange, and then bring it to the front. And now it's back in front again. So while I have the purple one over here, now it's time to use the masking tool. I'm going to get rid of format options so you can see this better. And while this one's selected, the thing we want to find is the cropping tool right here. If I do not have a picture selected, you can see that disappear. So you want to make sure it's selected first. Then instead of clicking on the crop image tool, we're going to the toggle next to it where it says mask image. Click on this and we're going to find the shape of a triangle or a shape that you like. And it's already changed to something like that. And that's pretty darn easy. If for some reason this isn't the way you like, I double clicked in the center. You can still see the whole full image here. And maybe I want this to be a little bit thinner or something. And I can just kind of pull this in on the sides. I can arrange this around like this if I want to find the way I want that to look. So I'm just showing you how you can use that to your advantage. Also, once I have it like this, I can still distort it by bringing it up higher. And if I want, I can kind of bring it in like this too to kind of find the shape that I truly do want for my picture. So now I'm going on to the red one. I'll move the blue one out of the way over here. And we're going to do the same thing to it. So I'm going to mask images, choosing the circle tool right here. That looks pretty good. I'm just going to hold down the shift key so I maintain that circle. And I'm going to grab from a corner, the lower corner, I'm just going to bring it in a little bit. Like so. And I might need to make these smaller in a little bit, but at least we have this started. I'm just going to move the blue one out of the way and locate the green one right here. And I'm going back to mask images. I'm choosing the circle tool again. I'm going to double click in the center, and then I'm going to bring in this tool like so. Make it quite a bit more skinny there, and maybe bring it down a little bit. And I think I'll keep it like that for right now, and I'll see if, okay, so I cut off the top part, so all I have to do is double click on it again, and I'm going to bring this down, and we'll keep it like this for a second, and then I'm just going to change the shape while I'm here. So you have a lot of ways that you can kind of distort things and stuff so you make your own picture and it doesn't look like someone else's, even though we did borrow images from Google Images. So I'm clicking on this one over here. I'm going to make this one into a triangle by going to the toggle and choosing the triangle tool here. Double clicking in the center so I can change the shape of the triangle and see what I want to get right here. And that's kind of cool. I like that. Just going to bring that down a little bit. And I think I will keep it like this. This one I want to be taller, so we also want to work with variety by having different sizes, unless you have a specific purpose that you're using this for. Variety means by using different shapes and sizes, it adds more interest to your artwork. I'm going to bring this one in a little bit over here, and that one looks pretty good for right there. This one I'll bring over. I'm going to have this one lower too so we can play around with height as well to add variety. And maybe I'll keep that one right there. The circle's almost there. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. You could also work with overlapping these images. Just to demonstrate this, I'm going to keep it kind of like this. And I'm also going to take some other shortcuts just to kind of shorten this video so it's not super long. It's already going to be long. Now this one has a little bit of a cutoff over here. If you don't like that, again, just double click on the picture and I can just bring it in and crop it a little bit more and then see if that kind of fills in there. And there is a little bit of a bobble there. I'm going to leave it. I kind of like it. I like imperfections, so I will go with that. So now I have the pictures here and I'm looking at the spaces between. The black now is our negative space. The shapes that we've already trimmed down and used the cropping tool and the masking tool are our positive spaces. So I just want to see if I have these spaced out the way I like it. And of course you can play around with this even later, but I think I'm going to move this one over depending on what you're using this for. So I have this ready to go. Now we're ready to use the line tool. I'm going up here to select the line tool. I'm just going to click on it and I am going to start from the center, hold down the shift key on the keyboard, and then click and drag a line down to the bottom. That helps keep my line more vertical, and I'm hoping to go off the page there. While that's selected, it's black. It's going to be hard to find. It's also very thin. So to change that, we're going to the pencil line color tool right here. And sometimes this will be called the border line tool depending on if you're using shapes or if you're creating your own lines. So I'm coming over here to white, and now I'm going to choose the thickness by coming over to line weight next to the pencil tool, and I'm going to make this 4-point thickness. And depending on what size you're using this for, you can adjust that as well. So to make this easier, I'm going to select this one again. I just made a little line there because I'm still in the line tool, so I'm going to show you how to get out of that. First of all, I'm going to undo that little line right there until I get rid of it so I have what I want. Every time you draw a line tool, it still thinks that you're drawing lines. So if you want to get out of it, you just want to select Escape on the keyboard or click the arrow up here that says Select. So by doing so, I have this one selected. To duplicate, I'm going to hold down the Control plus D or Command plus D. It's Command plus D on Apple computers. So, or Apple devices. So I'm going to bring that over to here, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key just to make this taller, kind of get the height that I want, and I'm just going to make sure that's lined up in the center. I'm duplicating again, and I'm going to bring that one over to the green one right here. This one I think I do want to make a little bit longer, just add a little bit more variety. Kind of look at the space around. So another thing, talking about positive and negative space. One really cool concept is to think about your positive space and not only focus on that, but think about your negative space and see if you can make that just as interesting as your positive space, but with more emphasis on the positive space. And we've already done that with color and with different textures and watercolor papers and different shapes. I'm going to make that a little bit longer there. I have one more. This one's a little bit long up here, so I'm going to hold down the Shift key just so I don't adjust the line shape, And I'm going to make this quite a bit shorter right there. And it looks like I do need to pick it up and move it over and center it. And while I do have some of this going off this page, the canvas page was the gray and white canvas, and anything that goes off of it won't show up if you are going to insert this into another document such as Google Docs, or if you're just going to pick it up in Google Drive and move it to another format. So I'm just going to move this over and kind of line it up again, duplicating one more time, and then I'm going to bring it over to the blue one right here. This is the taller one. I think I'll bring this up quite a bit higher there. I kind of want this one to be higher than the red one too, just to kind of change that up a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Now I see that these two look pretty similar, so I'm just going to grab a hold of this one and I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter so all my lines are a little bit different shapes. And now we're ready to add some lumps. So I'm going to go back to my line tool, and I'm starting from the center. So I want to line up on the middle and try to line that up the best that I can. And I'm just going to pull out one line right here. And again, I'm going to change that to white by clicking on the pencil tool, going to white, coming over to the line weight and coming down to 4 points. I could choose 3 points if I wanted to as well. In fact, that might work better for this part, but I'm going to keep it 4 points. And while I have this selected, if I want to keep that same angle, and if I do like to have everything looking very consistent, I can do so by just coming to Control+D or Command+D to duplicate, and then I can just move this up like so. And the reason why that happened is because I forgot to come over to the Select tool or press Escape on the computer. So again, all I have to do is go to Undo to get rid of that one. And then I'm going to select the Select tool over here so I can bring that one up. And I'm also going to bring one over on the other side. So to do that, I'm going to duplicate it one more time, Control+D or Command+D. Then I'm going to arrange, I'm coming down to rotate, and I'm going to flip it horizontally. And then I can just move this one over here. And I have something like that. If I want to add another one up here, I can, but I kind of like to work with odd numbers as well. We already have some even numbers in here too. So I was just trying to make sure that these are overlapping that middle line a little bit better, and they are. That looks good. It's time to move on to the next one. So I will go back to this tool just to add a little bit more. I'll start with one line tool coming from the center here and coming up. Maybe I'll go at a little different angle here, and going to the borderline color or the line color to change that to white, and then coming over to choose 4 pixels. So I have that one, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did over on this one. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to hit Escape or click the Select tool to make sure I can move this now. So, and right now I actually moved the red part, so I just moved that back. I'm going to click on the outside here. I'm going to grab this one and bring it up. And I'm going to hold down the Shift key and bring the line tool in a little bit to kind of, okay, that doesn't matter. It's just going to move the way it wants on this one. So I'll keep it like that. And I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit more. And I'm just going to duplicate it. I actually had the red one, so all I do is undo. I'm going to click on this part again. I'm going to duplicate it, Command+D or Control+D. I'm going to arrange, and then I'm going to rotate it and flip it horizontally. I'll move that one over here. And then I'm just going to duplicate it and move it up and bring that in a little bit. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to bring this line up a little bit too, because I'm going to add one in the center a little bit later. There, like so. Okay, awesome. And I just want to click on this one. I see it's overlapping a little bit. That will matter if you want to add a casting shadow. And the way I know how to add the casting shadow is going through Google Drive to create a drawing. If you are using Google, or if you're using Google Drawings through Google Docs, I don't see those options on there. And I haven't done any research to find out if there's a way to do that or not. And that's something you could do if you'd like. So I already have some of these shapes over here. So I'm just going to grab this one to make it a little bit quicker. And I'm going to hit Command D or Control D. I'm going to bring it over here. And this one I'm just going to keep duplicating and bring it up. And again, that's Control plus D or Command plus D. And maybe I'll do 4 on this side and 3 on the other. So I'm going to grab one of these and duplicate it again, come to Arrange, go down to Rotate, and flip horizontally. Move that one out, Control D, Command D, and I'm just moving these up a little bit. And the most important part is to see if we can get that to overlap. And for that reason alone, it is easier to use a smaller pixel line here. I just want to keep everything the same size. So if you're having any issues with that, you can always come back in and select several of these at once. So let me get off of here. So I can hold down the Shift key and select more than one at once. And then come up here to the line thickness, and I could change it to 3 points if I choose. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo. So now I have one more to do. I'm just going to duplicate one of these by Command plus D or Control plus D. I'm going to bring it over, maybe move the shape a little bit up here, and then I'm just going to duplicate it and bring it up a little bit. And then I'm going to duplicate one more, go to Arrange, come down to Rotate, and flip horizontally, and kind of spread these out a little bit. Now for the fun part that's coming up, which is creating the leaves and having fun with different shapes and sizes. Okay, so we have that. Oops, that one needs to be brought in a little bit for later on. I like to add a casting shadow to kind of make it look like it's fused glass, like there's a piece of glass separating the top portion, the line tools from the shape tools underneath. So we have that, not shape tools, but lines from the shapes on the picture. So for this one will be one of the easier ones we can do. We can go to the shape tool and choose the circle tool right here. I'm just going to hold down the Shift key, pull out a little circle right there. I'm going to come up to the fill color, and I'm choosing transparent, going to the border color. I'm going to make that white, and then I'm coming over to the border weight and changing that to 4 points. So then I have this shape. I'm just going to bring it down and line it up on top. It's up to you if you want to leave space between if you like that look too. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to leave a little space in between. And this one I might have to bring in a little bit. I don't mind that there's different sizes there a little bit. So there's a couple ways you can do this. I'm just bringing that line in there, and I'm going to keep that like that. And I think I'm going to do that with all my lines. I'm going to bring them in a little bit. I realize that they're too big. And I don't mind if the angles change a little bit. Maybe not that much. So I'm just picking up that line and moving it. And right now it's being a little finicky. There we go. So it does take a little bit of finessing and working around with these lines to make it work the way you want. But eventually we will get there. So we have this one here. I'm going to duplicate it, Command plus D or Control plus D. I'll bring this over. I see I need to bring this one in just a tad bit more. Of course you can add more than several circles on each one. keeps wanting to grab a hold of that circle. So I'm just going to move this out of the way a little bit and bring that down. There we go. I'll bring that back up again, and then I'll bring this down here. So if I were doing this for, for someone else, I would take more time on this. I'm going to keep this more simple right now just to kind of show you. And by the way, the reason why that happened was because I accidentally grabbed a hold of one of the shapes. Again, just go to undo, and you really want to wait until you get the crosshair right there to move it. So that's something else to be aware of when using this tool. I like to show my mistakes in case you run across these too. And then you know how to problem solve it. There, we got that one. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to keep it like that for this video. For this one over here, the shape I used was the sun shape. So I'm going to come over here and click on this one. And I'm going to hold down the shift key and just click and drag out a little shape right there. Going to the fill color, choosing transparent, coming to the line color and making that white, and coming over to the thickness and changing that to 4 points. And then you get this shape right here, which is actually pretty cool. So I'm just going to bring this down here. Again, I have to make sure there's that crosshair in order to move it. Otherwise, I will get something like I had before. Let me just bring this one in. Okay, that was kind of cool. That moved right up there. Cool. And then I'm going to bring this one down and duplicating. There's crosshair, bring it down. Looking for the crosshair, not the arrow. And then moving over here. Looking for the crosshair. Okay, that one didn't move. I'm looking for the one that has the arrow crosshair. And there's that one. Again, I can move this around a little bit. And what was kind of funny was this one, the shape was moved a little bit, probably at the end. And if I like that, and if I want to play around with that to add more variety, that's another way to go about this. So we have this, and this one's a little too long. So I'm going to bring that in. I do not want it touching the sides because then it kind of creates a tangent. A tangent, you might remember that from geometry, but a tangent in art, will take your eye to that area, and I don't want someone to just focus on that one area. I want to keep it more inward, like so. And I need to bring that in. Bring this one down. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this. Okay, I'm coming over here and I'm ready to add some circles. Oh, the double circles. So on this, I think I'm going to bring this one in a little bit. I see that was more of a tangent. And I can bring this one down. And of course I can play around with this and make it look better. And then, so I'm going back to shape tools again. This time I'm coming down to the donut circles right here. When I click or hold down the shift key and pull out the shape so I maintain the circle shape. And then I will get rid of the color inside by going to the fill color and choosing transparent. Coming over to the border color right there and choosing white. And then choosing the border weight 4 pixels again. Now I have this. And this is a little too big, so I'm going to hold down the shift key and grab a hold of one corner, just bring it in a little bit. That's pretty good. I'll move it down to here. And of course you can add as many of these as you like. And playing around with this for a while, I'm sure you're going to have a lovely picture. And cool, that one was pretty easy. For the last one, I was going to show something a little bit different. And I see that my line is crossing through my circle a little bit, and I don't want that, so I'm going to take a little time right here just to make sure that isn't happening. A little bit more, it looks like. And now at least I can see where I need to come down. Okay, that looks pretty good. Of course, I can move this one over and make it look a little better too. If you're having problems moving your shapes and it seems to be grabbing a hold of something, another thing that you can do to kind of help out with that is go to View and right now I have rulers on. I didn't have to have rulers on for this one. But in case you did want to use rulers, you can click on this to show rulers. You can also use guides to match things up too. But right, if I come down here to Snap to, I have guides checked. I want to click on this so that it's not selected. And now maybe I can come back and move this more easily. And I was able to move it more easily. You have a little bit more control when those are not checked sometimes, especially when you're creating something that looks like it's in nature. So the next part, I was going to show 2 different ways that you could add some leaves, and each one has its pluses and drawbacks. So I'll show a couple things you can do here just to kind of help you out with your design. I'm coming back to the line tool. The first one is using the curve tool right here, and I'm just going to let you know where I'm clicking. I'm going to say clicks so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to make a really big leaf right here so it's easier to see. So I'm clicking once, 2, 3, 4 to the top, and I want to make sure it's not too pointed right there. So I might need to come into 4, 5, and then I'm going to come over on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could create a leaf like this. And then of course I would come up here and change the color, so I'll make that transparent. I'm coming over to the line tool to make that white, and then I'm going to make it 4 pixels. And we might have to make the pixels a little bit thinner because we're going to shrink it, so it's going to be a different size even when we bring it down. So it'll be up to you as to how you want that to look. By doing so, you may not like the shape completely. So if you don't, all we're going to do is come over to the select tool, and we're going to double click on it, and then when you double click on it, you can actually move those curved lines around to kind of get the shape that you want. And I saw that this one was a little bit on the right there. Maybe I bring this out a little bit and then see if I like that shape. And you can keep playing around with that. Since we're shrinking it, it's not going to show up that much, and you could keep this shape. And if you're going to use the curve tool inside, it's a little bit more tricky, but you can still do so. I'm just going to click on the curve tool again. I'm going to click down here. I'm going to click one in the center, so that way I can make it look like something more in nature. At the end here, I want to double click. When I double click, it lets go, and then I'm coming to change the colors again. Since it's a line tool, okay, that was kind of interesting, and I'm going to explain what just happened. I went through the same process I did before, and you can really create some interesting shapes and come up with things that are totally different than what I'm showing you by clicking this fill color. It will actually fill in the color from this point to this point, like almost like a bow and arrow right here. And that's kind of cool, and we will get into that more later on if you care to do some more videos with me in the future. So I don't want that for right now, so I'm just going to undo. And then I'm coming over to just the line tool because I'm just working with the line tool. I'm going to choose white, and then I'm going to choose the thickness of 4 pixels right there. And then I have that, and I'm still in the line tool, so to get out of this, I just go to the arrow tool and it lets go, or I can click escape on the keyboard. And another thing I do is, you know, maybe if I use the curve tool there, maybe I want to go to the line tool right here. I actually went to the polyline. I could use either one. But I'm going to come from here, and I'm just going to click the line tool. I'm just going to move this one up to here. If you click and drag, you won't see that line pop up there. And if you don't, that line will just come out, and you can just pick up one end and move it where you want. So I'll come down to here like that. And at this point, I can duplicate this. And maybe I'll do a video just on leaves to come up with like different textures and things that you can use. Maybe some of them will look a little bit more realistic at one point, or at least look like they're made out of cut paper with shadows. I'm hoping to do a jungle scene in the future. So I just want to make sure that these kind of match up and that they're not overlapping too much. So I can keep this leaf right here. And I'm just going to show a couple other ways that you can go about making your own leaf. I can make all my leaves look, you know, keep creating individual leaves to add on to the picture, but I'm going to keep them more simple like this. Before I show you a couple other things, let's first group all these together. So you're going to hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and then select each line. And you can see that it'll be a little bit highlighted in blue in a minute. And then we'll have to look at them very closely to make sure that they're all selected. And you see the little blue lines around it. And if they aren't, you can go back and select it again. It gets a little bit more tricky with the more lines you have. So I have them all selected. I'm going to arrange and I'm going to group them together so that way I can move it all as one piece, which is a really cool thing to be able to do. And this works in Apple Pages. It works in you would group things together in Photoshop and quite a few other programs too. So I have this selected right here just to show you another way you can create a leaf if that was hard. You can still go down here and go to Poly Tool and you can just kind of take your time going click, 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 click. It's straight lines and then you would just create your shape like this. So I'm not going to keep this one, but you could really get some cool shapes and come up with some different types of leaves. I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to come back and take this one. Okay, so again, when that happens, just go to Escape Tool if you want. Well, that's not going to work coming over to undo. So that's another thing to show. You do have to go to the arrow tool or click Escape on the computer. And I'm going to bring this down a little bit and we'll see if we have to change the line tool, and it looks like we're going to have to. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit thinner like so, maybe a little bit more. And I'm going to come up here to the line thickness, the border weight, and maybe go to 3 points and see if that works better. And depending on what you want to do with it, of course that will change a little bit. I could also add more lines. So I think I will do that. I'm coming back to the line tool over here. I'm clicking on the toggle next to the polyline tool and selecting line. And from here I am just going to bring some lines from the top outward. And I didn't click and drag, so that popped up like that, but it's no biggie. I'll just change it to there. Now that this is the size I want, I'm going to change it to white, the color to white, and I'm going to 4 pixels. And then maybe I will duplicate this, Control plus D or Command plus D, and maybe I'll move this one over here a little bit. Just to add a little bit of variety there. I'm going to select my leaf, hold down the Shift key, and I'm going to make it quite a bit smaller. By making it bigger and smaller, you can also change the way things are too. And if that leaf looks too thick, because I made that super small, again, I can come up to the border weight tool and select 2 points, and then that looks pretty good right there. And I'm just going to create quite a few by hitting Control plus D or Command plus D. And then I'm just going to move these around quickly. And I'm not going to create all those smaller lines right there for this video for the sake that, I value your time. So I'll just show a couple little things here. I can also come up and rotate and flip those leaves a little bit. And another thing I can do to add a little bit more interest is just come up and rotate by grabbing the circle right there. So you can have a lot of fun with this and come up with what you want. And I hope that I've answered, you were able to do this well. And if you have any questions or something, leave comments down below, please. And if you like this video, I greatly appreciate it if you could let me know. And therefore, I will create more. And if you'd like to see the playlist and see a lot more videos like this, please click subscribe. Until next time, I'm just going to move this one over a little bit. I think I'm going to stop there for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, I got one more thing to show you. I almost forgot. Okay, this is the most fun part. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select all of the lines together. I'm going to deselect something in a minute. But we want to select all of our lines. We could select these here too. And all we're going to have to do is hold down the Command key plus, and then look at A on the keyboard and click it at the same time. You've selected everything at once. We are going to group it. I almost forgot the best part. Going up to Arrange here, and we're going down to Group It, like so. And then we're coming over to Format Options. where it says drop shadow, I'm going to click on it. And we are going to pull out the distance here. I'm going to keep it with a black drop shadow. I'm going to pull this out a little bit to make it a little bit thicker there. And you can have some fun with this. I'm just going to soften the line a little bit by clicking off of it. And then I'm going to get out of here. That's what helps create that 3D look. And of course, you can play around with this and get a better look than what I had right there. All I have to do is click on this again. Format options shows up here again. And maybe I want to bring the radius out a little bit more. So see how much, isn't that awesome? I just love this tool in Google Drawing. I'm going to bring this out a little bit more. Maybe I want to make it a little bit darker. Excuse me for that. Maybe bring it just a little bit more. There we go. And then I'm going to click off of this and click the X up here to get rid of format options. And there's our picture. So I hope you have a lot of fun with this. I can see I got casting shadows over here too, so I can play around with the range tool to bring them forward and send them back if I don't like that. And that is a little too strong, but you know, I think I explained it well enough so that you can have fun playing around with it and come up with your own designs. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day. Until next time, I wish you the best. Bye-bye.